Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of virtual children's conversation or virtual Sunday school. Um, that was quite a storm we had this last Monday. I think it was. Yeah, it was Monday. Did you like it? I know in our house we have some people who like thunderstorms and some people who really don't like thunderstorms that much. Um, I know I fall into the earlier camp. I love thunderstorms. They remind me of when I was a little girl growing up in southern Tennessee because they always get these awesome summer thunderstorms with the thunder that like shakes your whole house and the lightning and the rain just comes pouring down and the raindrops feel like they're this big at least coming down on you, and the rain comes up from the Gulf, so it's always warm too. And I don't know. I was just, when I went to college and I experienced rainstorms in Ohio, I was like, what is this cold rain? This is not okay. um, but anyway, so I love the summer thunderstorms and they always make me really happy. And I love watching the lightning as it goes from cloud to cloud. And I hope you guys were able to enjoy it, and I think there are few things quite as awe-inspiring in this world as a really good lightning storm. When I was a kid, we used to say that it was the angels bowling, and when there was a or the thunder was the angels bowling, and when there was a really big thunderclap, it was like boom that shakes your whole house. That's when Jesus made a strike. That's what we always said when we were little. Anyway, back to today's lesson, or to today's lesson, which has absolutely nothing to do with thunderstorms. We're going to go back to what we were talking about last week. And who out there remembers who we introduced last week? Do you remember? I'm going to give you some time to talk and figure it out. Anybody? That's right. It was Saul or Paul. And we talked about how he had sort of a major life change in our last story, right? He went from being somebody who hated Christians to being one of the big fathers, really, of the early Christian church. And so today we're going to go back to Saul or Paul and see if his do-over day lasted. All right? What do you guys think? Did he last? Does he still want to promote Christianity, or is he like, I'm done with that? Let's see. Today's story is called Paul Escapes. Paul wanted to tell everyone about Jesus, but some people did not believe he had really changed. They thought Paul was trying to trick him. Aren't you the same Paul who wanted to put all the followers of Jesus in jail? Asked the people who did not trust Paul. So we've got our pictures here. So it sounds like so far his life is still good. He's still changed. His do-over day is working. Some of these people got so mad at Paul, they wanted to hurt him. They came up with a plan to catch Paul when he left the city. The city had a tall wall that went all the way around the city. The only way out of the city was through the gate. They had guards watching the gates of the city day and night. How's he going to get out? Huh? It was time for Paul to go back home, but there was not a safe way for him to leave. He couldn't go through the gate because they had guards there, right? Then some of Paul's friends had an idea. They put Paul in a large basket and tied a rope to it. Then they lowered him slowly down from a window in the city wall. Paul made it safely out of the city with the help of his friends. Whew. How would you guys like to do that? Escape from a city in a basket.
Not me.
So Paul was leading kind of a crazy life, huh? Here he is, trying to do the right thing, right? Spread the word of Jesus. And bam, people want to kill him. I mean, that's tough, right? Anyway, and then to escape, he gets lowered over this huge tall wall in a basket. Either that was one really, really strong basket, or Paul was a pretty skinny guy, right? I mean, he had to be in order to, or he had to have a lot of trust in that basket to be strong enough in order to not, in order to be willing to do it, I guess. Or maybe he was just that desperate. He must have also had a lot of faith and trust in those friends of his, right? Not only did he have to trust that they really wanted to do what was best for him, they weren't going to turn him over to the guards, but also that they were strong enough to be able to lower him safely down the city wall instead of being like, whoops, sorry, right? Do you have friends that you would trust to hold your whole weight as they were slowly lowered down a city wall? It's a little scary, huh? So he was putting his faith in a lot of people and in a lot of things. Have you ever had to put your faith in someone else or something else? You know, a few years ago, I went ziplining with my husband. And I don't know if any of you have been ziplining before, but we climbed up a whole bunch of wooden staircases onto platforms in this jungle. And we were wearing a harness, and the guides clipped our harness to this metal wire that was about big, maybe, and sort of pushed us and gave us instructions on how to, be able to slow down and stop and everything. But they had one guard where we started, and then one guard at the other end, and one guide at the other end. And so the guide at the other end was there to make sure we didn't crash into the tree that the zip line was attached to. And so, we had to clip on, and at first it wasn't bad. It was a lot of fun. I didn't really think twice about it. But then our second to last and last zip lines on this course that we did were over a huge, swollen, flooded river in the jungle with a lot of scary things in it. Like, they had cut out all river activities for people because it was so flooded, and they couldn't tell if there were snakes in there or what sort of other things might be in the water. So you really didn't want to fall into that water. And here we are clipping onto a zip line that's almost entirely over this river. And it was a little nerve-wracking. I had to trust my harness to stay, together. I had to trust the wire that wasn't that big to not break on me. I had to trust the guides to know what they were doing. I had to trust my gloves that I was wearing, that they weren't gonna eat through from the wire as I'm pulling down on it to break. And I had to trust the guide at the other end to not let me crash into a tree at the other end. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but ultimately a lot of fun because I did it and it was awesome. But so, there's a lot of trust. I mean, that's a sort of big example, but we all have people that we trust every day, right? And sometimes that trust can be really scary, like it was for me when I was ziplining. I can't imagine how scared Paul must have been, right? That was some pretty serious trust that he had to put in his friends and in the basket and in the ropes. And he must have been awfully thankful afterwards when everything turned out okay, right? I mean, after all, these friends saved his life, But back to you. Who do you put your faith in every day? Your teachers to teach you things correctly, to teach you the things that you need to know. Right now, the internet, in order to be able to connect reliably so that you can connect with your teachers, connect with your classmates, your parents. Every time they have to drive you somewhere, you're trusting them to drive the car safely. You're trusting the other drivers that you don't even know to drive safely around you. Um, you know, there's so many things and so many people that we don't even think about that we trust. The grocery store workers that stock our groceries, the doctors and the hospitals, or the nurses and the hospital administrators, and all of these people that we're talking about a lot more right now, that we trust to take care of us when we're sick, and that we trust to take care of other people when they're sick, so they're not coming back into the community making all of us sick while they're still sick. It's just, there's so much trust going on, and I think that a lot of times we don't even think about it. It's not like, when Paul couldn't help but think about the trust that he had in his friends, because they were literally holding his life in their hands. But really, when you think about it, we have so many people that we have to be thankful for and grateful for, because they live up to our trust every single day, right? And so along those lines, I wanted to tell you how I trust you guys, right? I'm trusting, when I make these videos, I'm really not making them just for my own fun. It took a huge leap of faith for me to start making these videos. I've never really liked recording myself, and so this was sort of like a moment for me. But since I've started doing this, I've been receiving a lot of thank you notes from you guys, telling me that you appreciate that I'm here and that I'm being honest with you and I'm being open and I'm sharing these stories with you all and trying to keep some semblance of normalcy going on, even though it's not always the easiest thing to do. And those thank you notes really mean a lot to me. I'm putting my trust in you that you are actually watching these videos and also that, you take something from them. And I really hope that you do. That's definitely my hope from you. And I know at the same time you're trusting me to be here and to do these videos and to put my best effort into it. And I hope that I'm living up to your trust, and I really appreciate those thank you notes that I get. And so on those lines, I'm going to give you all a challenge like I've been trying to do almost every week. This week, I challenge you to write a thank you note to somebody who has earned your trust. And again, this can be someone that earns your trust every single day just by being there, just by showing up, just by feeding you, or making sure that you're safe, that you have a home over your head, that sort of thing. So I think that just a little thank you note that just says, I see you, I appreciate you, I love you, thank you for being there, that can really mean a lot to a person. And so I really challenge you to do that. And if you can't write yet, you can still draw a little picture and just give them the picture and tell them thank you. So it's okay if you can't write yet, or if you don't know how to spell thank you. But I think that would mean a lot to someone. And again, it can be anybody. It can be a parent, it can be a grandparent, teacher, a neighbor, even the grocery store clerk who's there and showing up to work every day so that you can get your groceries and eat. It can even be your sibling for playing with you and not creating too many fights with you. So that's my challenge for you. I really encourage you to do that this week, and I would love to hear how that goes. Until then, let's go ahead and close in prayer. So if you guys could fold your hands with me. Dear God, thank you for always being worthy of our trust and faith in you. Please help us to recognize those people around us who put our trust in, and help us to acknowledge that by showing them our gratitude this week. In your name we pray. Amen. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.